Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of our Friday Business Chat. Chris from Tran Associates here, VP of BizDev.
And Eric here, president at Trans Associates CPA.
So for this week, I wanted to chat about something that's been coming up a lot as the baby boomers are going into retirement and companies are finding it harder to attract talent to their companies. And this is an article that came out a while ago from Harvard Business Review. And it really talks about the most desirable, I guess, list of traits that millennials are looking for when they're looking to work. Now, before I go into some of those stats, Eric, I don't know if you've have any comments about some of the things that you're seeing with, I guess, millennials in the job place.
Um, I think I see more of this in the news in terms of how millennials are characterized in sort of a general kind of take on them. And I don't think it's really fair sometimes because obviously millennials are really leading the technology development wave. They are really smart, and there's been a lot of very young billionaires that are millennials, and they're achieving things way faster than ever thought possible. So, unfortunately, I think in Trent and Associates right now in our office, we don't have a lot of millennials in our staff, and I would like to change that. I think I sort of fall in between millennials and whatever came before them, a little bit older there, but
There's the Gen Y, Gen X, right?
yeah, a
We're
little
kind of
bit
in
there.
between.
But I do see the points though, because I see how uh, millennials are less willing to change their lifestyles to cater to their employment. They rather work for someone else or work somewhere else. For example, if they're really into fitness and they want to ride their bike to work, they would find a office or an employer with an office that can cater to them.
I remember, you know, probably about 10 years ago when Google really started promoting its campus because they were looking for a lot of talent in San Francisco. And one of the things that I just found amazing about the Google campus was they had catered food, which was free to employees. They had the sleep pods. They had gym, fitness. They had free bikes for employees to use to ride around the campus. And it was really talked up about being, working at Google. Those were the perks. And, I think to a certain extent, even though Google had a lot of high paying programming engineering jobs, some of the articles I read, people were willing to almost take a pay cut to go work at the Google campus. And so, one thing I liked about this Harvard Business Review article is that it addresses some things that, for small business owners who can't provide all those things like Google does. Like let's be realistic here. Google's a $100 billion company, right? But we're talking about
Yes.
small business owners. And one thing I liked about this article is that it mentioned some things that I feel can be built into realistically the budgets of small business owners. And so I'll give you some of these stats on this survey that they did. And basically, about 2,000 US workers ranging from the ages of 18 and 81. Now, this is not only millennials that were included in this survey, but what was interesting is some of the things they came out with. And they asked them about 17 different benefits and asked them to weigh, their options when deciding between a higher paying job and lower paying job with these types of perks. So I'll give you one example. Now, remind you this is US, so some of these may already be covered by, our public services here in Canada. But better health, dental and vision insurance was number 1, heavily considered. People were willing to take a lower pay if those things were covered. Now in the US, health insurance is expensive. So I can see the trade-off on that. So in Canada, I would say having, a health spending account or some extra money to cover, whatever health benefits your employees are looking for
Mhm.
might be heavily considered. Number 2 on that list was more flexible hours. So again, I would say more so in the millennials, that 9 to 5 work, cycle, the traditional work cycle, isn't really that attractive anymore. And so that was number 2 on the list. Over 88% said they would take a lower pay if they could have flexible hours. And then the list goes down, ranging from more vacation time to student loan assistance, tuition assistance for upgrading, free snacks. That was about only 32% of the respondents. So, if you're considering adding catered food to your company, that's not super high on the list.
Right. And it could be a very big cost too.
Yeah, so maybe not a good return on investment if you're looking at the numbers there.
Yeah, I think this list is pretty good. I think it's really consistent within itself too. For example, there is more. 88% had consideration for more flexible hours, and you can see 80% want work from home options. And I think that really speaks to maybe the millennial deciding if they can do the job versus and do the job well versus having FaceTime, just having to be at a spot for no particular reason other than just to show up. And I think that traditionally was one of the criteria that a lot of managers and a lot of organizations looked at. Are you on time? Are you punctual? Are you dressed well? And that was a big factor. But I think with a lot of practical kind of just get the work done mentality and flexible hours and work from home options, I'm totally for that. I think that uh, sort of respects the time of the individual. If they think they can get it done and they find a way to get it done better, faster, or whatever it is that they arrange, I think it's great. I don't think that FaceTime in the office, you have to be there from 9 to 5, uh, makes any more sense really.
So interesting on that, they did find. So one of the top ranking items was actually unlimited vacation time. So how many times have we heard from business owners? Well, we'll give you 2 weeks off, right? And that's what you're allotted. Well, some companies have actually started doing unlimited vacation time. Of course, being in the traditional workspace, a lot of employers and small business owners were like, well, that's impossible, right? We'll see lower productivity, things won't get done. So a few companies have started offering unlimited vacation time, and they have not seen a decrease in productivity. In fact, a couple companies here listed in this Harvard Business Review saw an increase in productivity from their staff. So that's very interesting. I think small business owners need to start thinking about that, especially with more of the younger generation coming into the workplace. Because if you're not addressing these issues, you're not going to find the best of the best for your company, and you're not going to retain a lot of these individuals as well. They are just going to go elsewhere, even if it's a lower paying job.
I think the other thing is the reality is when you're hiring someone that's a high performer, a very responsible worker, and someone that cares about their career and their clients, they're not going to take 100. They're not going to take 100 days off a year. And if they are going to take that much vacation, because it's unlimited vacation, let's just say that policy was truly unlimited vacation, they would still take care of all their work before they go.
Well, and that's a mindset issue too, right? From a lot of small business owners' standpoint, a lot of them can't get over or can't think about how that would work, right? If the employee isn't, if I don't see them sitting in that chair from 9 to 5, they must not be working. And it's a mindset issue because I would say, the old school mentality is you've been conditioned
Mhm.
to think that unless the employee is in the office, they must not be working. Whereas for some of these companies, it's as long as the results are there and the employee is getting it done, right? And it's back to your point, Eric, is they're not shirking their responsibilities. No one is saying a project that's supposed to be done in March can now be done in June because I've given you unlimited vacation time.
Mm.
Those rules still stand. It's just by giving more flexibility, addressing that culture issue of your company, you provide that more inclusive and more welcoming, I would say, to especially the newer generation of workers coming into the workforce. Okay. So I found another article too that will help us wrap up kind of this segment here. And it gives 4 strategies that companies can use to address this issue in attracting better talent. And I feel that even though this article is geared towards finding millennial talent and attracting millennial talent, I think it's key across the board of any age of worker. I think it allows by going down these strategies, I think it allows you to start transforming the culture of your company. The first thing is a points or budget based perks. So this one's interesting because there's a huge emphasis on not having a broad scale approach to the perks that you give your employees. But it's also takes into consideration that you don't have employees abusing the system
Mm.
where they just come to work for you because of all the perks you give. It's almost an earned, like air miles. If
Okay,
I
yeah.
if I go shop more, I earn more air miles, right? So it's very similar. So you have points based perks based on whatever it is, performance metrics that you put together for your employees, but they can gain these points and use them towards perks that they like.
Just now, when I was thinking about getting air miles for showing up to work, I think that's pretty neat. Um,
That would be kind of cool.
it is, and this is what it is. I mean, it's also part of another movement called gamification, where you're essentially using the health workout kind of reward system. So in health and fitness right now, there's lots of gamification where you can get tracked on your Fitbit, on your Apple Watch, and you get points and awards digitally on your phone and your watch. But it sort of gives people milestones and goals to hit. And I think this is very similar. Um, I think it's really effective if you could use the most modern technology to do this. So we're not talking about a chart on the wall where everyone's getting a gold star. Maybe some discretion is needed, but at the same time, more immediate feedback and sort of trends uh, would be really kind of awesome to see. And I think those apps can provide that.
Okay, number two on the list is technology spending account. So this one's kind of cool, especially if you're in a professional office environment. What this article suggests is that you put a budget together and allow your employees to purchase, let's say, noise canceling headphones, or you have an employee that needs a second monitor. I know in our accounting firm, Eric, I've seen you have two large widescreen monitors, but that's because you need it for some of these large Excel spreadsheets, right, that you keep for clients. So things like that, if you put a budget together towards technology specific items that can increase productivity for your employees, I think it's a very smart investment. And so some of these to take into consideration that, previous generations you never really thought about. Number three is health and wellness options. And so this one comes to, immediately a lot of small business owners think health plans for their employees. There is a lot of flexibility in the marketplace right now. I know one client, we just introduced them to a financial planner that helped them set up a health spending account. And that in itself provides tons of flexibility for the employees. And it also allows the small business owner to write it off against their expenses. But you provide that perk for the employee and you can market that. And I think that's a very important thing that employers, especially small businesses, if you're competing to get hired workers into your company and it's a very competitive marketplace, you really need to talk about some of these perks. And health and benefits is the number one on a lot of people's lists. So talk about it. Talk about what you're offering if you are offering those to your employees. And the last thing here is flexible holidays. So we going back to the Harvard Business Review article, talked about unlimited holidays, flexible holidays outside of that 2 week period that's very traditional in the workspace.
When I first entered the workforce, was that you sacrifice your life for work, and through work you provide for your family, and that's how you sort of balance that equation between having to be away from your family, take time away from your family, and providing for them, right? But I think really, if you were having flexible vacations and you combine it with a form of flexible vacations, I mean, how awesome would it be if you had an extra couple of days after Christmas or New Year or the 4th of July, Canada Day, just to spend with your family? That's a little bit different than all your friends and all the other companies out there. It's very simple and it could have a very big impact.
Okay, so hopefully that gives you some, ideas that you can implement in your company to attract better talent and retain the talent that you currently have in your company. I think what everyone needs to understand, especially from a small business owner standpoint, is that this is going to take time if you're not already implementing some of these. It is going to be a shift in culture. However, the long-term gains you're going to make by doing some of these things will outweigh, kind of the pain that you're going to experience at the beginning.
think also in closing too, amount of wage you're offering is not everything. So you can pay people a lot of money for the same job. They might sign on for the money, but they might not stay either if their work environment is not what they like. Ultimately, money is a way for us to live and invest into our futures. But at the same time, how we spend our time and how we feel during that time when we're working is really important. And I think if you are able to build that up within your company, you will be able to get more loyal employees. And at the same time, if your company grows, then you are able to, in cycle there, raise wages to be higher too. So now you're fending off your competitors and keeping your employees and clients more happy.
So thanks for watching this episode. If you have other topics you'd like us to cover for Friday Business Chat, please shoot us an email. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Every single bit helps.
Yes, absolutely. Leave a comment below, and we'll see you in the next one.
So until next time, hustle hard, know your numbers, and stay tenacious.